Asking the Lord this morning. I'm asking the Lord this morning to open up the floodgates of heaven. Yeah. Open up the floodgates of heaven, Lord, and rain on all the hearers today. Everyone locked in and listening. May favor rain on you today. It's a big day, very big day. Also for Bernie Davis. Turns 89 today. That's right, he's 89 years old, 89 years young. Lots of love to you, Bernie Davis. From your daughter, Lisa B.D., Lisa Davis, and all those who love you and call you daddy. Blessings and favor. Stay tuned in. Momentarily we join Morning Grace with your host, Glen P. Rolle. Ambassador. Keep it locked in, everybody. This is Inspiration 107.9 FM.
It's back to school time. And do you want to get your message out to the widest possible audience? Well, now is the time to book your ads on the big station. Benefit from the thousands of listeners on the ZNS network. Let the people know where to get their school uniforms, supplies, snacks, and a whole lot more. What are you waiting on? Book your back to school ads now on Radio Bahamas. Call our marketing and sales department at 502-3800 for our rates and packages. It's back to school time.
For motivation, education, and inspiration. 107.9 FM, the station for the nation.
Lord, I just wanna thank you. How could I ever repay? Jesus is taking the pains away from me. And you're giving me victory, yeah. Everywhere I go, blessings fall. You bring my wonder back up into my rising. I'm going higher by the grace of God. Oh, oil on my head, oil on my head, increase in my head, increase in my head, speed on my feet, speed on my feet. Speed in my head.
Listen, let me avoid some trouble right here. I did not forget what I didn't remember. I do apologize. Listen, we're speaking blessings in favor over Mr. Ephraim Jones. He's still celebrating his birthday. Ephraim Jones, good morning to you. Happy, happy, happy birthday. Continued blessings and favor. Oil on your head, sir. Increase in your head. Dancing in your feet. May God bless your hands too. If you find Ephraim Jones today, over there, Garden of Eden, tell him sanctified lady spoke blessings and favor over him. Momentarily rejoin the cast of Morning Grace.
soul started to wonder. My soul started to wonder. My soul started to wonder. Oh, my brother. Oh, my brother. Your body, no body. Big box in here. Don't go over here. Do not go. Not the event declare. Don't go over here. You must know this man. 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 Beg you to know this man. I beg you to know this man. We are now at the Jesus. Holy Christ. Erase it. Not know this man. Lord, not good God. Because he has everything. We are. Lord Jesus. Because he has everything. We are. This man. This man. You do not know this man. You do not know this man. This man. You do not know this man. You do not know this man. They are good on you, boy. You make up any good on you, boy. You make up any good on you, boy. You make up any good on you, boy. You make up easy, boy. You make up easy, boy. You make up any good easy, boy. Let me go easy, boy. Yeah, go easy, boy. Easy, boy. Easy, boy. Go easy, boy.
9 minutes after 9 a.m. in the morning, right here on this beautiful Tuesday.
Easy, boy.
Ambassador is just taking a few more moments to get some steps in, dancing around his room, waiting for his helper to kick in. And then we'll get him live on radio for you. Just hang on in there. Morning Grace begins in just a moment with his guest Valentino Brown this morning. You tune into Inspiration 107.9 FM. Inspirational station for the nation. Sanctified Lady Couture Clark at the controls. About to welcome Ambassador Glen P. Rolle in just a moment. Sounds of Petra K. Christ Alone medley. Handing it over to Kenyatta Taylor. Grandma taking us to church with Memory Lane. Memory Lane memories. Stay tuned and locked in and listening, everybody. Good morning this morning.
Lord,
On this beautiful Tuesday morning.
they tell us time I got bills to pay. Get time for that. Lord, look at me now. I come in. Grandma, oh grandma, I come in the church. All the post them ready. All your friends they wait. See, I get up early. I could get up and start. Going down to the altar in the Lord my heart. Grandma, oh grandma, I come in the church. All the post them ready. All your friends they wait. Stop all the excuses. I need me a fresh start. Time for me to get it right. Giving God my heart. The nights of boss man waking really hard. Most days of my life, I from job to job working. All I try to do in life is succeed, yeah. So I would feel hard to supply my need from my daily and working really hard. Well, tell me, boy, what you gonna do for the Lord? I come in the church, all the folks are ready, all your friends say wait. See, I get up early, I could get up and start, going down to the altar, get the Lord my heart. I come in the church, all the folks are ready, all your friends say wait. Stop all the excuses, I need me a fresh start. Time for me to get it right, giving God my heart. From my same boy, everything you own. Did it get by yourself, gone and all alone. No need for you to be stressing out. Everything you need, boy, that's what it came out by myself. Hey, boy, what you gonna do? Oh, I'm in the church, all the book them ready, all your prayers they wait. See, I get up early, I could get up and start. Going up to the altar, get it off my heart. Oh, I'm in the church, them ready, all your prayers they wait. I want excuses, I need me a rest time. Time for me to get it right, giving God my heart. I come in the church. You crowd for praying for me. Thank you, crowd for praying for me. It's slow. You're moving too fast. Only with Christ is the only last. Because you're moving too fast. Only was done for Christ is gonna last. Are you praying for me? I once was blind, but now I can see. Are you praying for me? Because I once was bound, but now I'm free. I'm gonna join the choir, gonna turn on the usher board. I'm gonna join the choir, serve on the usher board. Oh, Lord. Gonna be all right now, gonna be all right. I come to church. Gonna be all right. I come in. Gonna be all right now. Gonna be all right. I come to church. Gonna be all right. I come in. Gonna be all right now. Gonna be all right. I come to church.
107.9 FM, the station for the nation.
Inspiration 107.9 FM is the one you're tuned into, locked into, and listening to. We are now about to welcome to the airwaves none other than Ambassador Glen P. Rolle.
Good morning, sanctified lady. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you, sir?
Oh man, I am doing super. How do folks say? I hear your voice, so I'm doing great. Thank you so much. We were having a little challenge by way
Yeah.
of the Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that's one of the downsides of having these kinds of platform, but it has so many other convenience.
Yes, sir.
And so we do apologize to our listening audience, and we thank you for, keeping us in this space while you try to connect us in multiple ways. Do we have our guest on the line? This is Tuesday. Help me with the date, Sister Katira.
Tuesday, August 12th, Ambassador. The 12th day of August, 2025, and you're live.
Listen, when we were in that space, the one thing I always kept of it was the date and the time.
Yeah.
So now it's, boy, whatever day it is, I'm up
Oh
and
my. Yo,
I'm up, ready to go. What did you
I,
have this morning? You teased me with this cup. I could see the smoke coming out of it. It forced me to go to my yard when we used to have those whiskey
yes.
talk.
Pick
You
your three
know,
leaves from the yard and steep it now.
pick my tree leaves, do my
Yeah.
boil. But
Remember now, if you boil it, it's medicine, but if you steep it, it's tea.
I
Be
boil it.
careful with them three leaves of the yard.
I boil it. So which
Oh
one?
my. So it's going to be rather strong.
Oh, yeah, I boil it, and I saw
Yes.
him while we were there, and he
Okay.
said, Glenn, you got your pear leaves,
Oh boy, showing off.
you have your
Mm-hmm.
fever grass. He said, why don't you boil the two together? I said, man, I don't know about boiling those two together. So we had some fever grass this morning, so
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Fever
so
grass is one of my favorites.
so we're hopeful that wakes all of us up.
All the way up. Yes.
We were expecting to have Valentino on the
Yes,
Zoom.
Mr. Brown, I believe I do have him on the line for you.
yes, I'm
Mr.
present.
Good morning, Mr. Brown. How are you?
I'm fine, and I would like to apologize to the station and to the nation for being late. It's my fault. Station fault. Okay, I apologize.
Mr. Roll heard you loud and clear, right?
I am not hearing him too clear, Katura, but I'm hoping that we can have this conversation this morning. We wanted to have uh,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Brown and perhaps another. Uh,
Okay.
we're having so many challenges on our streets, Katura.
Yeah.
Our sons, the children
Yeah.
of our mothers and fathers, laid bed on our streets. I hope he can hear me.
Can you hear you
You could hear me, Valentino?
loud and clear?
Okay. Well, but we'll manage through, and whatever I don't hear clearly, we have Her Excellency, the co-host, who will be able to navigate for us this morning. Valentino, how have you been, sir?
I've been doing great stuff. Honestly speaking, God has blessed me, so I can't ever complain.
Well, God has blessed you, and one of the great things that I appreciate about talking to you, and let it be the Shelton Burrows, the Rock Ferguson, whom you met, Katira, at the Garden of Eden some time ago, is because these men
Mhm.
who would have traversed a certain lifestyle early in their days, and I'm sure all of us had our various walks, but these men have come to know and identify with street lives and what that means. One may say survive many challenges, but they have found a way by God's grace and by perhaps support system to turn things around, and they're not only builders of community now, but they're seeking to also reach out to other young men in particular who would have fallen through the crack. Valentino, they call you a certain name. You want to call that on there and introduce yourself?
Yes, it would be my pleasure. My street name actually was Scoochie, but they call me Scrooge now.
I'm a community leader in the Grandstand community. I was one of the former leaders of the Border Boy gang in the late 90s. And now, like I said, changed my life. And I'm here to help change the trajectory of our country.
You know, when we hear that term, I remember as a, I wouldn't say not so young police officer, but I remember as a police officer, the country was going through its gang challenges. Definitely, it was not what we're seeing on the streets today, but it was almost new or strange to us. And from a police perspective, from a community perspective, you know, it was somewhat challenging for us. You've had the experience of going through that era, that period. What was that like, not only from the gang perspective, or what was it like to understand the community response in terms of their concerns?
Oh, that's too hard question there.
Mhm.
Living that particular life was very dangerous. There was no future in it. Like I said, everywhere you went, once you was involved in that type of life, and you get an altercation, well, that altercation coming right back to you tenfold. You know, so life was miserable. Living that type of life. Not advise any young boy out there or young man growing up. It's not a life that they want to choose to go down the path. Uh, my life was completely, I'd say, it's just like you wasn't living. You know, you had no future. You know, everywhere you went, there was violence, and you know, it was just crazy, just crazy, sir.
You,
And it's continuing today as well, too, sir.
you know, Valentino, even as you use the word, even as you talk to young men, for an example, you would say, well, this is not the way to go. And we definitely don't seek to make an excuse for it, but share your own upbringing, share your own story in the context of what kind of support you had around you to help direct where you should go, for an example, whether there was the family structure, whether there was a community component that sort of shape you and place you in a certain direction. What kind of environment you had, not as an excuse, but that made it easier for you to go in the direction of gangs?
Well, basically, what's happening in the streets in any community right now, they have to know, like, churches, for instance, the churches back in the day was really not interested in young people. Government is not interested in helping young people in the country who had a mental problem. You know, most of us had a mental problem. The police at the time was not trained properly to deal with young at-risk kids who came out of the drug era, where their parents, their mothers, their fathers, their aunties, their uncles were on drugs. And these babies, and when they are children, these children became drug babies. And those drug babies, because of the community condition, the family structure being completely destroyed with the drugs, and now the government has done hard on the citizens to try to stop the criminal element, which is the selling the drugs, which is the sexual abuse, which is, you know, guys who are involved with gangs. So their penalty was just go at them hard and then hook them up and put them in prison. That spin cycle, Mr. Rolle, you know, it took a serious toll on us teenagers growing up in the inner city because there was no supporting mechanism. There was no programs. There were no second chance. There was no small business. There was no one you could turn to. So us as young individuals, 13, 14, 15, 16, who were seeing our mother and father and uncles and stuff that are on drugs and seeing all the violence in the street, we became accustomed to that. That was like our education, seeing all of that. And all of that together turning us into what we were at that particular time, and I would it transcend that time to this time. So
What do you say to people who perhaps may flip the coin, Valentino, and I don't fault them for having a certain perspective? What if they say, well, I too grew up in a certain environment. I too didn't have what you have, yet I choose a different path. What do you say to persons like that? Are we missing something, or is it not as easy as said?
To those individuals, uh, let's say that they took the right path, but for many, uh, they don't have that opportunity to make those type of decisions because the environment they're in dictates on how they turn out to be. Okay, if you look at, for example, how many kids we see going to sports? Some you up like in the Bahamas, you up like DeAndre Ayton, we have in baseball, I mean in basketball, we have Buddy Hield, we have the female athlete, right?
Mhm.
But if you look at how many other people are going to be left who are not going to have that opportunity, not saying that they ain't deserve their opportunity, they went out there, they go to school, they study it, and then they take the opportunity when the scholarship is given to them.
Mhm.
I give them 150%. But for the condition that we're living in, with the family structure destroyed, that individual who came out to not be able to go in the life of crime and etc. is that they was particularly chosen from God. Honestly speaking, they were able to transcend, see through all of that, but they had the blessings of God on them.
I may have shared this some time ago with you, and I remember where I was. I was on Carmichael Road, um, driving just past the Chinese store, and that's the kind of impression you made on my life. I believe I was still a police officer at the time, or still within that frame of mind. And I heard this voice on another radio station talking about support system, talking about community, sharing his own story, his own experience. And I felt compelled. I felt stuck to the radio because I I thought he was in essence saying, yes, I went through this dark path. Yes, I had difficulties in my life. I'm not making it as an excuse, but I am crying out for the kind of support system. I'm crying out for a sense of community. I'm crying out because I represent the souls of so many young men who are crying out, not that they want to stay in that way of life, but they want to make a difference. What do you say to people like myself to understand the psyche, the mindset that yes, they may be in a certain situation, but that does not mean they're not crying out for help?
Yes. I'm a prime example, and there are many others who are prime examples. So, all of these individuals are crying out for help. If you was reading the newspaper with the incident in Ridgeland, you would see when the father of the deceased, he had two sons shot, one was killed. And in that, he said that his son was seeking to get citizenship. He said his son was trying to get a job, but because he didn't have his documents, he was not able to get the job. And because of that, he was looking to have a better life. Now, his son, he said, had a previous case before the court. We had inflicted on this one. But he said his son was still looking for a better way, and they were just getting ready to pack up their bag and leave to go on the family island where there were better opportunities.
There's so many stories out there, and again, I understand society's cry. I understand their fears. I understand their call even for greater sense of punishment. And there's a space for that. What did it for you, Valentino? What became your breaking point? What became the point where you said, you know what, this is not who I am. This is not where I should be going. What moment caused you? As a person that was shot at a couple times, a person that was involved in so many things, what caused you to turn it around?
What caused me to turn around and say, I have no future. I see yourselves, Mr. Rolle, rolling around your nice car, what you deserve, you work hard for it, and you get your wife, you get your children. Nobody's looking for you, no one shooting at you. You could go on the car lot, you know, you wait for 5, 10 years, so you have your savings. You could go on the car lot and say, I want that car. Something happened to your girlfriend or your wife, you can be able to say, what you need, my mom, if your mom light off, you could be able to go and assist your mom and turn on the light. I couldn't do none of those. So what I am, how can I be some type of bad boy, right? When it comes to responsibility and me living a life the way you live in, Mr. Road, which you truly deserve, but you're a model citizen. Stuff ain't right. I get shoot out every day. Everywhere I go, the police come in, searching, my lug bag. Everywhere I go, someone getting shoot, someone getting stopped, fighting. So when I really look at it, then you end up in the station. You end up in the station with the same guys you're fighting with. You ain't getting no power. You're in the station with the same guys you want to kill. You're saying brothers and sisters you want to kill, but now you're in the station. When you're in the station now, you're all too talking. You know when you touch the police. I say, hold on now. I said, this don't make no sense. And then while I was in the station, I got locked up for a firearm, and God put me to be in a position to be in the station. And like I said, I think I was big and bad. But as a second guy in the cell who was had a death sentence and he was sentenced to life, he knew about me on the streets and I wasn't even supposed to be in the cell. So that experience alone, him getting sentenced to death, he and Red writing me, looking at 2 year sentence of done, this guy's life is completely gone. He getting ready to get hanged. Right? Now I don't know if I don't stop, if I don't realize that if I don't stop being involved in these activities, in people, disliking people, I would end up in the same position as him. And mind you, and how I talk about you living a good life, you have your family and stuff like that, all this stuff that takes place. And you know what? All this I did, now I get done.
Are you getting through to the? I'm sure you still speak with persons who having challenges, who are involved in street life, and this is not to put you in a difficult spot, but do you get a sense that whether it be the family, the parents, in some cases the teachers, let's say you have urban renewal police officers now who's a part of the community, uh, uh, civic citizens or persons even like yourself who had a past life. Are you getting a sense that we are getting through to this generation? I'm not hearing you, Valentino.
You get me now?
Yeah, I could hear you a little better now. Are you getting the sense that we're getting through, or is our word but fairy tales, and or is it dropping on no man's land?
It's fairy tale, It's because of the decay. People see there's no hope. So they're not listening. I talk to a lot of guys, they listen to me, but they still have their life to live. Can I offer them small business? Can I offer them jobs? Can I offer them opportunities for them to be successful? These are the things what this generation wants right now. If you can't provide those things, you're talking on their affairs, and they want to see the love of God, which is providing and sharing love, and love comes in different ways. Love comes in support mechanism system, and in today's society, they're not seeing that. So
You have been, Valentino, you've been a champion for community building. You've reached out at perhaps all level, certainly at the governmental level. There are churches within your own community. What are you seeing in your own community, your own environment? Is there a sense of hope, a sense that things can turn around, a sense that communities can go in another direction, given the efforts that you have been taking? Perhaps you want to take some time with the Inspiration family and share some of the things that you're doing or seeking to do in the community to really create this space for young men in particular who have fallen through the cracks.
Good question. Let me say not to take credit, right? I remember what I said earlier about we're not reaching. We're not reaching unless we go on the ground. And that's what I understand, that we have to develop the community. So what I understand is that if you can't provide small business, if you can't provide opportunities in the community for people to develop, then you got to go make it happen. Now, when you're saying if I see any changes in the community, let it reside in. Not to say I'm taking back my talk from what I earlier stated. In Pritchett, Mitzi Burrows, Lucas Metropolis, Alexander Melis. I'm working with Salem Union Baptist Church. With Pastor Hugo Rolle, I'm working with the Street Gospel Chapel Church and my pastor, Ed Dossett. And what we are trying to do is create an empowerment zone in the grandstand area of Lewis Street, A Street, and Taylor Street. And in the constituency, we want to see how we can better hostess. We want to have great small businesses along. When I started my small restaurant in the community, I want to help start up with 20 small businesses around that location. What this is going to do, but I'm going to see what is going to make the changes. I feel that once you empower people and we start a small business in those communities, we're going to start to reach people. You asked me a question earlier, what the people are feeling, or if they feeling any of this urban renewal or whatever the government is doing. Well, I think this is the best way to go about it. And I'm seeing the changes in my community, because our community in Grandstand was the worst community in Nassau for years. We were the worst community in Nassau. We start off the year with a murder, we end the year with a murder. We start like 16, 17 different shootings, or 27 shootings in our community every month. Okay, so the changes are there with the programs we put in place that we want to get stronger. In my eyes, is to develop the area with small business in the jungle field, in the tourism field, and then we bring God in there, and then we bring the community people together, because we start with 20 small business owners. We're going to train them properly on money management, hospitality, community spirit means we working together to have the less fortunate. And I think we could go from there. So, but the changes are in our community with the latest investment we get from the Melis family, the Simonet family, the Dorset family. So there's a lot of support system coming in, but we're going to take it to the next level.
You rightfully mentioned some of the names, and certainly Inspiration 107.9 FM. Of course, this network, this platform lends itself to stories that are inspiring. We didn't just bring you on because we believe you wanted to just spew out what is happening, but we brought you on because we believe that what you seek to do, it can represent a model, a solution to some of the community ills. Tell us what went into, whether it be your reach out or the churches reach out, or what went into the community getting together, because the community that get together that says, you know what, we can't just wait on the politicians, or we can't just wait on the church leaders. What went into the thinking of persons to say that our community can make a difference and turn things around?
Yeah, so again, I do not like to take credit, but through the blessing of God, I was the one who's leading.
We don't mind you sharing your story, Valentino. Because the nation and the community that's in crisis, we want to know what is working, and part of how we know what is working is to talk to persons like yourself who live a certain kind of life, who had a moment when you went in a different direction, but now also where you are accepted by a community, not just based on your past, but really an opportunity to turn things around. I believe that's a part of the solution to our country. So I hear you in terms of not bragging, but share your story in the context, and maybe someone listening may very well want to take what you're doing and model out, whether that be in other areas. We saw what happened in Ridgeland Park. There are incidents in Montel Heights, for example. All of these communities that have churches, that have businesses, that have local leadership, that get together to begin to do something. So please feel free to take the time to share your story in that regard.
Yes. I was already a leader when I was involved in the gang activity. And then I learned a lot from it. And then I got involved with politics, and I ended up working on Mr. Lyndon Foster Penland in 1991, going up to 1997 till he retired. And he passed on to Perry Glassman Christie. So I was already a leader. So what I decided to do after I said I'm going to change my life and I want to make a difference in my community, I started to go in a positive direction. For 22, 23 years, I started a basketball program that has produced many great athletes around the country. Some you might see saying that like Chase Philippine, he was an anchor at Glen in Freeport. Chase Canada for the Free National Movement. Yes, I had many athletes pass through. I did my basketball tournament too, but I also wanted to get the church involved because I know having a basketball tournament, but having the church present as well. So I started to work with Pastor Rolle at Salem Union Baptist Church, and I was able to inspire him. And he started to ask me questions, and I started to consult him. So I was the consultant for the church, and I started saying, you need to see if you could go door to door and see exactly what's going on in the houses and family, with the family. And he made that a priority. Their team do a walkabout every now and again, like every month or so, and they go door to door. They also find a lot of the problems. They have to back to school every year. They try to get kids who are at risk back into school. So that was one of the programs. Then I wanted to do more. I wanted to see how we could get a community center in the community. So I was able to go and had a meeting with some executive at IBB Bank, where I was a non-consultant. You hear me, Mr. Rolle?
Yeah, I'm listening. I'm very much listening to you. I hope the audience are listening also because Valentino, believe it or not, you're sharing your story. You're sharing your story of transformation. You're sharing your story in the context of things can go different, and that's really what we want to offer the Bahamian people to say to them. Yes, our streets may look bad now. Yes, a young man may be going in certain direction, but yours is a story, and I believe a story for many that we still have an opportunity to turn it around. So I'm hearing you in that context to say there's certain steps that you would have taken. Yes, I'm listening.
Yes. So I was a person, private and non-paid consultant, and they wanted people who had experience on the ground. And like again, IDB Bank, the same bank that gives government the majority of money. So I talked to them and tell them the conditions of the community and where I came from. And I told them the community is in decay. So I sat and met with them for about a year or two, where I was giving information to them. They brought in teams from the government. They brought in Renard Hanfield based on the information they received, and they were saying that I'm doing like more like local government in my community. But that if we get the government to do local government in any city community, where we have community leaders as part at the off branch of government, so that the politicians don't have to work so hard. Lead the community people, we elect people in the community who qualifies, and we will take care of the garbage collection, we will fix the abandoned houses, we repair the roads, we will take the pressure off government. And all this, the idea fall into into government, the community centers all around the country. That was my doing. The urban design lab that was switched over to the overall initiative. Overall initiative. That was my doing as well. The marijuana possession, small business with Samara Rolle, who is now the director at the office of the Prime Minister. I worked to help start the small business development in this country. So I could go on and on and on. So I work with Tom Craft, and be and a part of the law, and that's dealing with the second chance. And then Dr. Brian Norris came on and fulfilled the obligation. So I've been involved with a lot of stuff, a lot of programs that are going on in the country that the government not doing right now is my doing. Urban renewal, I'm sit down in office along with a lot of gang leaders and gave Perry Christie, the Honorable Perry Christie, before he became opposition leader and then the Prime Minister. Like I said, I was working on this in London. I was the one who was telling Mr. Christie that if he could give the guys them an opportunity to go in their respective community, because we couldn't go in we couldn't go in different communities. I said if you could allow us to have small contracts in the community and fix the abandoned houses for old people and those who need home repair, that would be great. So there's a lot I've contributed to this country.
You know, Valentino, I'm listening to you, and I guess anyone who know me in the context of the kind of conversation that you're having. And that's not to put myself in that space, but I do believe there's a way in which uh, governments can and should. That's not to say take the punishment off the book, but I do believe, as you, that when a nation is in crisis, part of it is that we have to extend our hands. We have to provide opportunities. We have to bridge the social gap and especially when the cry is for us to build more jails or other stuff and greater punishment. I understand that. I don't want to necessarily get into that side of the debate, but you mentioned men like Cylinder, men like Perry Christie, and others who allowed a Valentino Brown to be in a room and to engage and to have conversation and to say, I believe if we were to take these steps, it will begin to turn the tide in what is happening. Certainly, it's an example for you. Were there others who are beneficiary of that kind of conversation
Yeah,
that that the government saw fit to take extra care, make extra push, provide greater opportunities as a part of its strategy to turn the hearts of our young boys, particularly as they were being challenged in so many different ways?
yes, sir, they did. In fact, they started a small business plan where a lot of the guys who did not know trade started to do side contracts. So you see that the contract started with it started now in the country, started then. That's where the small contract started, cleaning the side of the streets. That's where
Mhm.
they started. Home repair, that's where they started. So a lot of those guys who were gang involved, they went into a small business. Some are still in the small business. Some of the most successful stuff is our beaker. You know, he's very successful. He is part of the program. You also have Scrubber. He has a restaurant, a fish fry called Joey's. Now he's a millionaire. You know, he take that
Mhm.
opportunity, he run with that. You know,
Mhm.
same people. You know, they run with it and they continue. You know, so I'm happy for those guys, and many others took that same lead as well. You know, so I think that with all those with all those opportunities, and we started focusing on all the programs I talked about, then we see a dramatic change. All those combined together, then we see a dramatic change. It means that we have to be persistent. That means we have to start now on the ground, fixing houses, have the parks utilized from after 3 to about 6, 7 o'clock. So why urban renewal in the area, bring small business development in the community, bring the uh, bring what is honesty in the community. You know, anything that the government has that can be useful to the residents, they need to bring inside these communities. They're too far for people to reach, but people wide BTBI in the inner city community, along with pharmacy, along with small business, along with all other programs. So we see a dramatic change. People start to take care of ourselves. Citizens themselves have to get empowered. We come up with our own ideas on how to fix our problems in our communities. Those are the kids and young girls out there. We would know what their problems because we have meetings, all of our business people. And when we hear about the problem, we know who their parents are. We could reel them in and help those kids talk to one another and provide an opportunity for them before it escalate. But we're so separated. You know, everyone hustling. No one got no time though. No who mother is who or who dad is who brother is who. What happens afterwards? When you look at that's one of those symbols could be one of your cousins or one of their, you know. So the strong we build communities, we try to take the logistics on how to fix the communities.
Are there offers on the table now, Valentino? And when I say offers, I'm not talking about just at the political system, even though I think that's an important part. They're the ones who collect taxes. They're the ones who determine the national economics of the nation. Are there offers on the table, the likes of uh, uh, former Prime Minister Pinland, the likes of former Prime Minister Christie, as you mentioned? And if they're not offers on the table, how do we as a citizen get to say to our governments that this is a part of the solution, that we can't just, that jail while it exists is not just the only thing that can solve our national crisis?
Mm. Well, let's just go by the statistics. According to Glen, the Minister of National Security, he states that 90% of inmates are going to come out. 90% are in prison right now. And if they come out unrehabilitated, they're going to have more. They're going to have more.
You say that again, Valentino. I'm not hearing you too well.
90%, according to the Minister of National Security,
Mhm.
they come out. And if they're not properly rehabilitated, we're going to keep on having repeated offenses like Marco Archer, young brigade in Michael Road. We're going to have sexual predators right back on the streets again. Okay, so that's when they talk about jail. Problem is that we have to get ahead of the problem. We have to have preventive measures, and preventive measures is everything I talked about. Community centers, small business, community, everything that government has to offer, which they do, should be available in these communities in order for us to stand a chance. So,
But Valentino, we are nearing the end of our conversation. We do only have a few minutes left in our conversation, about 8 minutes the max, if Sister Katira allows us to go into that space. Sheldon Burrows just joined us recently. I don't even know if he get an opportunity. Perhaps we may have a conversation with him later. But you talk about this model of church involvement. Pastor Huda Roll, for an example, who understood the extent to which they have to take a different approach to what is happening within cities. Certainly, in your experience, the then leaders would have taken a certain step to get involved. The business component would have equally been a part of the rebuilding process. And then, of course, the church is an important part of that. Uh, um, do you know of any conversation that has been had between these various pillars that is looking at what is happening on our streets with the view to say, let's get in a room. Let's take out all of the other stuff. Let's take out the need to score political points. Let's take out this idea that churches were meant to be other things. Uh, is it your knowledge that any conversation has been had? And if not, is that something that you would consider calling others to be a part of, having walked this road before, to see to what extent we can begin to shift and redirect what is happening in our communities?
after all, we've been to the table with people from the Christian Council. I can remember CB Moore, the ALS. I'm not saying they had no success. I'm not saying these guys are politically connected, but at the end of the day, I feel that when we sit down at the table, it's just going to be a bunch of talks, and nothing's going to happen. Because everyone seems that they are not concerned about togetherness. They are about trying to please whoever they're trying to please. And if someone there has the right idea, like I've had the idea for many, many years, they look you on the bar and then they go and take notes, and then you see the program out there. But like again, many times we sit down. We just sat down about 2 years, 3 years ago, talk about the same stuff, but we make no progress.
Well, Valentino, it's hard to listen to you and not get a certain sense of, yes, discouragement. I understand that, but a certain sense of optimism. You are the face, the symbol of what is possible. I want to encourage you to not give up. I believe this platform, Morning Grace, has extended itself by way of ZNS to a number of voices. a number of pastors, in some cases businesses, and so I would be more than happy, to see to what extent you can be in a room. Let's not give up. You can be in a room to try have a conversation again, to see to what extent that we can fully grab a sense of what is happening in our community, so that we do not just make these conversations, we make these things very, very actionable. Would it be possible for you to share room should we go ahead and proceed with some sort of conversation in that regard?
I never turn on an invitation from God. So you speaking from God, and I never turn it down. I never turn it down because, like I say, you can't give up. You never know, this may be the opportunity now. You might be the right man to put us in the room with all the pastors, and then we know what to do. You have a guy who knows what to do, being successful, working with enormous governments. And like I tell you, a lot of the programs they talked about with governments are ongoing today that are using now to fight crime in this country. All right? So I'll be more than happy to join you anytime. We can get and sit down at the table and let's get to work. But I just want to say that people are not looking to go and sit down in church. The ministry of God now got to be door to door. We have to go door to door. Yes, we go to church on Sunday, but we have to go door to door. If we're not going to do it, pastor, there's no reason for me to go sit down in a room with a bunch of pastors who are not going door to door. If they go door to door, like our wife said, then you see the pain and suffering people going through. And I guarantee you, the pain and suffering they see people going through, they would help. They would give 150% help, because you will never know what that neighbor who died in the church, what they're going through. And when they see us, and when they see the pastors, and they see the congregation, you change their life, because now they see God walk through the door. You guys would be God to them. You know, it's in us. So I just want to say that we have to go door to door. The messages go door to door. That's help. That's help.
Well, Valentino, definitely you and I have had multiple conversations, and we're always delighted when you take the time. Or I believe I've been given a little bit more time, probably because Shelton Burroughs just came in the room, and that's how blessed he is, and the nation needed to hear his story a little bit. Valentino, don't go any place, but when I called your name last night to Shelton, he said you were his boy, you know. I don't know what that means. Sheldon, can you hear us?
Yeah, yes. Hey,
S-
Glen, Valentino, Scrooge, what's happening?
Yes, but yes, Mr. Alfred.
Yes,
You
yes,
and
yes.
time ago, we were talking gangsters, me and him.
I'm not hearing you guys too well. Valentino, can you speak clearly for us? I mean, Shelton?
Yeah, I'm saying Mr. Burroughs was my enemy. He was one of the leaders of the rebels, and he looked at the state, and I was one of the leaders of the border boys in Guns Plan. Did you hear that?
You mean Shelton and you are arch enemies?
Yeah, so now we're in the
Shelton,
same field, giving back. I mean, up against
Shelton Burroughs.
Yes, sir.
You and Scrooge were arch enemies?
Yes, sir. He was a border boy, and I was, a Lizzie Raiders. And so rebellion Raiders, and so we had our war going on, and God is being so good that now today we are part of building the same community. We was a problem in he live in Hay Street up there in border area, and I'm up there inside Elizabeth Estates, and both of us is giving back to our communities, knowing that we was problems in our communities, we was gangsters, we was a part of the criminal element, but there was people then who helped us, and so now the only thing we could do is do the same to help someone else, some young man out there who in the one order gang, in the fire and theft gang, in the dirty south gang, whatever gang they in. The Hot Grove boys, the Ridgeland, you name it. that God is able, and they can make changes in their life, because I could tell you that the late David Mark Fall, a former police officer, and his wife at the time, Judy Mark Fall, they put us young men from Elizabeth Estate who was involved inside gangs and who was involved inside trouble, and they back of their yard, and they formed Saber-Tooth Tigers, an organization which changed many young men in Elizabeth States, and I happen to be one of them. Now David Markford is gone, but the work what he would have done into our lives, you are persons who would have come from Elizabeth Estates and involved inside gang, involved inside trouble young men. Now own their own businesses. Some of them went on to become police officers, teachers, bankers, work for the government. And so there is hope. There is hope. Brother Glen.
Man, listen, I am so moved by this conversation by both of you gentlemen to see what is possible. And Shelton, you pointed out the number of gangs that still exist, but you and Valentino are the faces and example of what is possible in terms of change, in terms of transformation, in terms of a message of hope to all of us. What do we say to parents? What do we say to a community that feels that enough is enough, that they don't want to take this route of reaching out and help, that they want jails, they want greater sentences? And again, this is not to say those things don't exist. What do you say, community that perhaps feel tired of what is happening on our street and is demanding more, but not demanding the social outreach, not demanding second opportunity, not demanding of our governments to do more as Valentino would have offered, that both Penland and Perry Christie reach out to them, and as a result, became a safety net. What do we say to the community that feels tired? Shelton, you, and then Valentino.
Well, the first thing first is that guess what, definitely the government and the policy makers, how to realistically look at the times we live in. Drastic times call for drastic measures. There's no way in the world in 2025, a fella carrying an AKA, military power weapon, and the government is giving him 4 years in prison. Mm-hmm. And another fella carrying a handgun, a 9mm 4.5, he get the same 4 years. That is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. With them high power weapon, you know what I mean? The government need to change the law and ensure that anyone carrying a catch with it should get no less than 10 years and no time off. Do the straight 10. When we have to stiffen the penalty so that those who choose to carry the weapons must pay the price. Secondly, you know what I mean? We have to give gun suppliers. I see about a year and so, I think a guy from in the Seabreeze area, the police catch him with over, must see 100 guns and over 500 ammunition. Then the other day, the police catch a guy in Carmichael Road with over 100 guns and over 6,000-7,000 ammunition. And these persons them just get 3 years in prison, 5 years in prison. That don't make no sense. Those who are suppliers, gun suppliers, ought to be able to get no less than 25 years to life in prison. We have to look at this realistically And that is then, that's the part on the law. You see? And then the senseless killing, come on, man, if we's not prepared to hang, well, we got to be prepared to guess what? Give legal injection. Because at least that person who killed, he ain't gonna kill no more. Because he dead. And what will happen is that you will not have retaliations. Because when many of the guys who come on bail with the anklet bracelet on for murder, more than 50% of them, and I think the percentage is even more than 50% of them who are anklet bracelets for murder end up dead. And what happens is that is showing you that the community has no faith in the system. So they do vigilante justice.
Wow. Wow.
Now looking at the part of saying how we still give hope to the community, we have to look at national youth service. If we want to change and make a generational impact for the future generation, particularly of our young boys and our young men, we have to look at national youth service and has to start from an early age. You only get banned the GYs and young.
Yes, sir.
You can't ban a 15-year-old and a 16-year-old. They mind already make up. Me and Scrooge, because they call me Apple, they call him Scrooge. We at 15 and 16 and 17 was notorious gangsters.
You can't have big gun.
So you got to change the youths, the young men, them lives at the age of 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, at a 10-day age. So National Youth Service, what our first prime minister was begging for. But at the time, the official opposition saw that he wanted to form his own army. He saw this coming. And I hope today that, guess what, you know what I mean? This government will look at National Youth Service, you know what I mean, and ensure that it goes on to whoever will continue on inside government, because we have to look at national development, national progress.
Shelton, both you and Valentino are the beneficiary of intervention by Sir Lyndon Pinland. You want to share your story?
Yeah, man, I was locked up at the age of 17 years of age. My mother was poor. And so, you know, Sir Lyndon Pinland is the prime minister for the poor. He ain't nothing like him, you know? And so my mother went down to the House of Assembly. I was locked up. And she went down to the House of Assembly and she spoke to Sir Lyndon because he had the common touch. You know, he meet people where they were, and she told him, say, sir, my son is locked up and I need legal representation for him. He told her to go to his office and speak to Obi Pinland and tell Obi Pinland to deal with the matter. Obi Pinland came to court. I was in juvenile court at the time. Obi Pinland came to court and represent me. And guess what, you know what I mean? I ended up going on to won my case. And guess what? I never met Sir Lyndon Pinland in my life. But I could tell you he was doing National Youth Service from his office. He was helping, because many a times you see the difference between the young, poor, ghetto youth who guess what, get themselves in trouble, to compare to the Life and Key, the Old Fort Bay, the Sandy Port, and the rich areas. Guess what, youths them would also have similar problems. The difference is that their parents could pay for the best lawyers for them and could ship them out of town. But the ghetto, you don't have that chance, because in most cases, like the ghetto youths inside, me being a ghetto youth, I didn't have a father. That's number one. Hey, many of them just have mommy around, and mommy struggling. Things rough, things tough, things ain't easy. But Sir Lyndon Pinland did National Youth Service in my life from his office, and I'm grateful. And I am thankful for what he did. Never meet me in his life. I met his son, you know what I mean, through him representing me. You know what I mean? And the other day, I guess should remind him, because he even did forget. And that just goes to show you that's the Lyndon Pinland family. They did things just because they were the people. Because he didn't even forget he didn't represent. But it just goes to show now today, I am giving back as a part of Project Time Internationals. I serve as the vice president of Project Time. Shelton Beneby would have taken me in as a mentor, and I see him as a father figure. He's not here no more. He's inside Canada. As an international bishop for the Church of God of Prophecy. Then I also serve as assistant public relation officer for the international I'm a group underneath. Hello.
I could hear you.
Yeah. Underneath our new president, Apostle Henry, guess what? Henry Higgins. I also serve in March Squared Men of the Day, Men of Tomorrow. Underneath Dario Maycock, where we are serving in 4 schools presently. And I go down to the prison with 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 um uh, with Bishop Chadwick James, who is the men's desk director at the Ministry of Social Service. We go to the Juvenile Detention Center. And so I am just giving back and helping wherever I can help because I supposed to be dead or in prison. There's nothing to me. But the grace of God was sufficient to help me. And all I can tell the troubled youths them who are facing challenges, that God's grace still is present today.
Yes,
Help them.
yes, sir. You are certainly the face, the evidence of what is possible. Both yourself and Valentino have consented to be a part of the conversation. Morning Grace extended into the 11:15 a.m. hour. Persons out there, Valentino, may not only hear your story, but hear a story of what is possible and turning things around. Clearly, as we indicated, that the punishment is one side of it, and government has to do what it has to do. But we also have to make sure that there is a social outreach, there are opportunities, even as Shelton Burrows mentioned. Somebody intervened, somebody reached out, somebody helped, somebody were able to turn it. Gentlemen, both of you, let me give you a minute or two each, but let's begin with you, Valentino.
Well, Stephen gave a mouthful just now, he talked about the penalty, he talked about the hanging, he talked about the lethal injection. One thing I'd add on to that is that hanging one or hanging 2 individuals is not going to do it. What we need to do if we're going to do these things, if that's what the country is looking for, we go on the forward or we find a public place, be old school for the most heinous crimes like killing a young kid or killing a grandmother or shooting, murdering somebody for a hit. That had to be made an example. So what we need to do, if we're going to do this, see, 1 and 2 is not going to scare nobody because back in 2000, my friend David Mitchell got hanged. And when he got hanged, it only put something inside of us now to say, let's go and get people who would have witnessed in our case in order for us to win our case. So let me make a little suggestion what Shelton is saying.
Yeah. Just take a minute or two. We may have to bring you guys back, but just take a minute or two. We're nearing the end. We were given a little grace period this morning in terms of time. Take a minute or two, both of you, perhaps, and appeal to the public in terms of getting on board with what each of you are doing in terms of extending hope to persons out there.
Yeah, we have no choice. Everyone right now needs to get involved somehow. We heard the Prime Minister say that, everything is politicized, everything is political. But he said he himself is exhausted. The Prime Minister himself is exhausted. He can't do it by himself despite government. It takes every individual who has some stake in the country to now say, let's give back right now. So I'd like for those persons to go in their communities, do some positive, get involved with persons who are doing positive stuff in the community and help support them any way possible to change the directory of our country. Or we're going to end up with 100 murders every year. And guess what? At the end of the day, just like everyone in this Bahamas has been affected by murder, just about everyone in the country has lost the violent crimes. So everyone is sitting in this country.
Valentino, I believe we lost Shelton for a while, but certainly he made an impact while he was here. We just want to take this time out on behalf of the entire Inspiration 107.9 family, and especially the Morning Grace, Sister Katura, for helping us out in studio and even extending to us the additional time. We commit, as we said, to you, Valentino, to get some persons in the room. I believe each day gives us an opportunity to begin afresh. Morning Grace was meant to be just that, by God's grace, as Shelton said, that we have an opportunity to begin to continue to make a difference. And so I look forward to having a conversation with you sometime soon in terms of how we get into room and begin to share in plain truth, whether it be yourself, whether it be Shelton, whether it be Kenyon, Rock Ferguson, send a shout out to him from the Elizabeth Estate area. So many people who began a life of crime are now builders of their communities, and they need the kind of support, whether that comes from the church, what ZNS is doing, of course, the business community, definitely at the political and the governmental level, have a significant say in it. Take 30 seconds, Valentino, if you want to give out your contact for persons who probably want to say, how can I help? How can I get on board?
I just want to say this. You have my number, Bishop.
Yes, sir.
And you set up the meeting with the pastors. That's the most important thing I want to do, because now if you can reach those pastors and they can go do one of these programs in their community, it's going to take a lot of pressure off the nation. It's going to take a lot of pressure off government, and then we're going to find some more love in this country. I just like to say to each and every one of them, just take a look around. This is not the Bahamas we want. We cannot continue at this pace. You understand? The Bahamas is one of the most beautiful places in the world. And I wouldn't like to live no other place in the Bahamas. I could walk from my home straight to the beach. Greatest place in the world. Let's make it great again.
Absolutely. And again, we're having challenges, but it doesn't mean that these challenges cannot be overcome. Valentino Brown, thank you so much for the conversation. We do have a town meeting. We do have a meeting that we were scheduled to do in your community. We could still work and set it up.
Yes, no problem. Go ahead, sir. I'll never turn on God, because, like I said, we're an extension of God, and this could put us closer, and probably we're heading in the right direction. This is the time. This is the time.
Fair enough, sir. So we'll go about and see how we can set up something within the community. Come where you are. This is Inspiration 107.9 FM, Morning Grace, with yours truly, Ambassador Glen P. Rolle. It's been both a bittersweet moment for us, sweet in the context of fear and hope, but in the context that our young men still have challenges, and challenges can be met where there's support, where there's an extended hand. Both of these men are the beneficiaries of hands that were extended to them. And as a result of that, they're now given back to the community. And so, yes, others may do other options, but here on Morning Grace, we wanted a conversation around what we can do as a community, church leaders, business leaders, to help to advance and to be a source and an instrument of hope. Inspiration 107.9 FM. Thank you so much. Sanctified Lady, back to you. Thank you for the extended time and for allowing us. And if I know you well, I'm not going to share any of what I believe you are doing in studio, but if I know you well, to hear these stories, I know the extent to which that would have moved you this morning as you listen to the sojourn of both Valentino and Shelton Bars. Back to you in studio. Have a great day, everybody. Tomorrow we have, I believe, young Davis, as we have a conversation into school give back.
Blessings to you, everybody. Locked in and listening, and especially Ambassador Glen P. Rolle. You know how it is. Reaching for tissue. Morning Grace comes your way every morning at 9 a.m. here on Inspiration 107.9 FM, the inspirational station for the nation, your favorite station. Ambassador, have a great day. And to your guests, thank you for another great show.
A great day. Thank you so much, my sister.
All right. Blessings. Bye-bye for now.
Everybody.
"19 minutes after the 10 o'clock hour. Good morning.